Hello, today is June 13th, 2024. Benjamin Brown here. Um, some important side notes that I wanted to mention. We're currently supposed to be celebrating a Jewish holiday called Shavuot. And it's supposed to be the celebration of the giving of the Ten Commandments to the Israelite people on Mount Sinai. Um, like I said, I'm still trying to figure this out. I seem to be the work of some sort of collaboration between the French, English, German, and other European states, and some sort of interaction between the Greeks and the Greek factions and Asian factions. Um, I'm tied to the heroes that have been portrayed by Asian actors like Bruce Lee and some of his more dominant heroes that have solidified themselves as icons in um, Chinese entertainment and Chinese history or Chinese entertainment history. I'm connected to the Asian character or the Japanese cartoon character Goku from the Dragon Ball series. I seem to be somewhat elusively tied to Spider Man, probably because of the story of King David when he runs away from Saul and hides in a cave in which a spider came and spun a web over the mouth of the cave to keep Saul away from him, or to uh, convince Saul that nobody was in the cave. Bruce Banner, specifically the Double B, Benjamin Brown is my name, and there also seems to be a character in the Incredible Hulk series called Maestro, which is purportedly a villain, but his name is Maestro, and he literally is penciled and drawn just like my father, which is essentially the standard German look, which is a big old beard and somewhat of a balding head and a wide and just extremely German looking, and literally like the old guy from Heidi. It's literally what Maestro looks like, and that's literally what my father looked like before he was murdered. Um, and there's also the characters of Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent. Clark Kent has a little bit more specifically allusions to me. I seem to be um, pestered by an African American gang, specifically the Bloods and the Crips, which seems to be some sort of sub movement of the Black Panther movement. Uh, Superman's greatest weakness is kryptonite, and it seems to allude to the black African gangsters that wear blue, which call themselves Crips. The Bloods also allude to the blood of Christ, and I also think that Crips also allude to the entombment of Christ, and they have some sort of connection with the Roman Catholic Church. The Mexicans have some sort of tie to some of these conspiracies or factions as well, with the M or the number 13, but it seems to be tied to a German engineering company, specifically the Maybach car company. And it also seems to be tied to the genetic engineering of heroin and the chemical engineering of crystal meth and the study of psychology and chemical physiology and chemical biology by some sort of conspiracies that have been acting from behind the veil of governments since at least the mid 1800s or late 1800s, late mid 1800s. And the movie and the book Naked Lunch allude to this, specifically in a scene when the protagonist in the story says that I've become addicted to Black Centipede, and I'm scared because I don't know what the withdrawal symptoms are. And this specifically alludes to the fact that sometime around those times they literally fabricated and created heroin and crystal meth and LSD, and LSD specifically with the intention of brainwashing people and influencing people and controlling and containing people. Um, so I have some sort of team of FBI and LAPD and DEA agents on me. I have evidence that corroborates that I'm created by some sort of collaboration by the European states and the Greek and native states and Asian states, and that I was created to sort of expose these things, but nobody seems to be listening to me, and it's I believe specifically has something to do with this one moment that my mother came to visit me when I was locked up in the Twin Towers facility. And over the phone, I was just simply compelled by some sort of North American military soldier who was loyal to their LAPD crew and to their FBI crew, into saying that I had nothing left and that I'd submitted to being some sort of like gangster or something. But I had also been manipulated and sort of like just pressured or compelled by a psychic into saying that I was like from something that doesn't even exist. But it was like, I guess, the evidence that they needed in order to shut down all the government programs and all the government things around me while I'm here in Montreal. And somebody specifically trying to come up with a situation to make me submit to some sort of status underneath them, because I'm incriminating of them in some way, because they've been trafficking humans and they've been trafficking drugs, and they're supposed to be high-ranking members of the DA or the DEA or NSA or Department of Defense, and what they're essentially doing is raping children and trafficking humans and trafficking drugs and reducing the global population to consumerism livestock, and keeping them in ignorance and keeping them from working out. They've been putting stuff in my food to try to convince people that don't speak English and that don't get to see very closely that I'm some sort of lower level cop and that I've taken some sort of lower level cop deal. I see people that are heavy set. I'm convinced that some of the people that purport themselves as being Jewish, that are heavy set, are people that aren't really practicing Judaism and that have taken jobs being criminals, which is something that I refuse to do. And I believe that this is the only evidence that they really have against me that is a valid piece of evidence, even though I'm not a gangster and I've never joined a gang, and I don't even particularly hang out with black people very much. The only times I've ever hung out with black people have been in downtown LA when I've been trying to score heroin or crystal meth off of them, and they're always ripping me off and selling me gum, or taking my money and selling me, not selling me anything, or selling me bug spray. Which is also alluded to in the Naked Lunch book and movie, that people are getting high on bug spray. And there's even this one crack where the protagonist's girlfriend, who he further down the way accidentally kills, specifically alludes to influence from outside himself, which he says unknown forces. But she sort of gets him hooked on injecting his own bug spray. And I guess the bug spray is meant to allude that the general population is being treated like pests. The general population is in fact being treated like some sort of roach problem or rodent problem. And they are in fact getting rid of us using things like crystal meth or heroin or alcohol, or drug culture and gang culture. And that's specifically what the Naked Lunch movie means, and that's specifically what the Naked Lunch movie alludes to, is that we are in fact being treated like livestock. And there's all these gay illusions, and I suspect that homosexuality is also something that was born from the late 1800s and early 1900s in order to, reduce the population to animalistic behaviors and animalistic lifestyles. I've practiced sodomy before. I remember the feelings that compelled me to practicing sodomy before. I've never practiced sodomy on a man, which seems to be sort of important with this messenger of God status. I've never had a man ejaculate in my mouth, and a man's never climaxed in my mouth. Um, I did jerk off a transvestite in another situation that was set up by the North American military and the FBI and the local regional policing authorities of North Hollywood. Um, the people that engaged me seem to be tied to the LAPD, and the LAPD also has a history or a purported reputation for being associated with homosexuality, which is to be somewhat alarming because the general population has been reduced to remote control humans that are vulnerable to psychic and technologically advanced influence, which means if the high ranking police officers are gay, then they really don't know what they're doing. Um, Sodomy is not something that is typical of the simian primate family. It is not a behavior that is normal amongst primates. Monkeys don't perform acts of sodomy, and they're not compelled to perform acts of sodomy, and there are no gay monkeys. But there seems to be gay military officials, and there seems to be gay police officers, and there seems to be gay people in our population that are have situated positions and status of authority, and they seem to be somewhat in charge of us. And it seems to be part of the reason that our foods are tainted to the point where we get fat or we get breasts or we're slowed down. Before I was circumcised, they used to put things in my food, and they used to make me fat, and they used to the things in the food used to give me breasts like a woman, which means that the Federal Drug Administration is actually failing in their jobs and in their authorities, and it's tied to the North American military, and it's tied to policing agencies, and it's tied to some drug trafficking and human trafficking conspiracy. So, I'm trying to make my best of. I'm trying to make the best of the situation. I think that I have probably about like 2 years here before they try to deport me. They don't have any real evidence against me, with the exception of this one conversation that I had with my mother that I was influenced into saying this, and I was influenced into behaving rather dramatically. But I've never been jumped into a gang. Every time I ever hung out with gangsters, most of the time it was like Southside gangsters, and usually I was only ever picking up drugs. Heroin and crystal meth were my choice drugs. Before it was crystal meth and heroin, it was just weed and cocaine. I smoked weed and cocaine throughout my high school years, sniffed cocaine and smoked weed with cocaine, or used to like roll cocaine up into weed. After my father died, I started trying heroin, sort of because I was bent on self-destruction, and sort of just felt like at a loss because I'd loved my father so much, and without him I didn't really know what to do. And he was murdered, and they used the same advanced technology and psychic influence to make it look like a heart attack, but he did not die of a heart attack. And now that I think back to it, I realized that he was being harassed by North American military soldiers, or their connected conspiracy soldiers, ghost agents, because there was all these funny things that he was doing, and he seemed to be having trouble, and we had to take him to the hospital a lot, and it seemed like maybe he was missing taking certain medication, and he had like heart problems, and he crashed like the side of his 47 Chevy. And I experienced this kind of assault from government ghost soldiers routinely, where I forget like things in a photocopier at the Staples or Bureau and Gros, what it's called here in Montreal. So somebody somewhere has a copy of my birth certificate, because I left my birth certificate photocopy in the Staples in the Bureau and Gros, and I know that somebody somewhere is walking around with a copy of my IDs and pretending to be me with the help of the FBI. I've had my ID stolen by Asia Tang, who's connected to the North American entertainment industry. I've been harassed by people related to this person called, this black African guy called Kevin Hart and Kobe Bryant, apparently. There's some sort of hostility that exists between me and North American Africans. I've never really been aware of it. As I was raised under the belief that I was somewhat tied to the historical North American character known as John Brown, abolitionist extremist, which may or may not be a true piece of history. But John Brown essentially lost his life and got his sons killed for attempting to free African slaves. But I was also taught that I also have some sort of connection to Chad Brown, who was a European who made a fortune on the slave trade and then turned around and then donated the money and donated his estate to start a university, which was now the more popular Brown University. How genetically tied I am to the Brown last name, I'm not really certain, because of genetic engineering and because one of the common themes in the modern day society today is that people are routinely raising children that aren't theirs, that the women that they're espoused to bear and raise, and it's possible to take someone else's baby and somebody else's genetic material and plant them in another woman without drawing too much attention to anybody because of the genetic engineering programs and the ghost technology. So I don't really know who I'm related to. I don't really know where I come from. I recently found out that I was Arab. I look at myself and I see that I have some sort of connection to the Mediterranean. Sometimes I think I'm Armenian. Sometimes I think that I might be something else. Sometimes I think I might be Saudi. Sometimes I think I might be some sort of, I don't know. Some of the proof that I have that I'm the work of engineering is if you look at my pupils or the iris of my eyes, and you see it in direct sunlight, they look literally like desert dunes. Maybe everybody's brown eyes look like that. I don't know. I don't spend a whole lot of time looking around at people with brown eyes, but I think that it's a direct allusion to the God of the desert or the God of Abraham. I believe that it's called Iris because there's some sort of connection between me and the Irish. When I was younger, I used to get little red hairs in my beard, but I don't really know if those were dyed or if it was just a device in my head tricking my mind, or if how connected to Irish I am. My dad used to say German Irish with some French, but predominantly German. He never told me that he was Arab. I never heard from anybody that I was Arab. I didn't find out till much later that I had Arab ancestry, and I have Arab ancestry on both my father and my mother's side. So this is what I'm going through. I'm not willing to go to prison, and I'm not willing to participate with any officers, specifically because I'm routinely mistreated, and I don't have any real social network. And I think somebody's goal is to get me into a prison after convincing a body of people that I am a dirty cop or something, and to just leave me there and to pass off my clone as me. There's been times where my wallet and my passport have been stolen by people like one time when I was asleep on the bus in North Hollywood. I fell asleep and I woke up and my backpack was gone. To induce the sleep, it would have to have been a North American military agent in Ghost that was lurking me. They stole my passport, and then they returned my backpack and all my stuff to me without my passport. And I never reported it because I'm a genius, and North American military officials can't keep their penises out of the ass, and I can't call the police and tell them, hey, somebody stole my passport. But it seems to be like their social network is working against me anyway, so it wouldn't have made much of a difference if I'd called them and told them that that my passport was stolen. I've had my wallet and my passport stolen by my own mother and my own little brother. And they also seem to have some sort of connection to the FBI, who I'm not loyal to. I'm loyal to the natives. I'm loyal to righteous and salvageable European cousins. And I'm loyal to righteous and salvageable indigenous and Asian cousins. I believe that the European reliable agencies are communicating to me in some way because I have a connection to the words heroin, sabotage, saboteur. I have a connection to the words judge and judgment and Judah. And I have connections to the word crystal, as in crystal meth, or as in Al-Christ or Al-Christ them. So specifically, crystal meth and heroin, I have some sort of connection to. Heroin was named by the Swedes, so I must have some sort of connection with the Swedes, and they must have planned the kidnapping of my daughter. There's also a franchise, Powerpuff Girls, that's associated with my daughters. I don't necessarily believe that I have blonde and red hair daughters, but I believe that it might mean that there's clone versions of my daughter that are being spied on or have some sort of association or affiliation with red-haired and blonde-haired families. I'm not really close to the Arab families that are responsible or purportedly responsible for the Futurama and Powerpuff Girls franchises, and I'm not particularly trusting of them. But I know that the Buttercup and Blossom and Bubbles, all their names coincidentally begin with the letter B. And there is a Powerpuff Girls movie where they emphasize this with the interaction between Professor Utonium and Buttercup, where she doesn't understand that he names her Buttercup because it also begins with a B. And my name is, in fact, Ben Brown. And there seems to be some sort of connection between the Ten Commandments and the letter B. If you take the letter B and set it on its side, it in fact looks like the 2 stone tablets that Moses brought down from Mount Sinai. So I'm going to end it here. I'm doing my best to kind of record any evidence that might be important in helping defend my innocence. If these people put me in a prison and successfully, I'm not going to have any regard for my release because I don't believe that I'm ever going to get out, which means that I will take life at every chance that I get the opportunity to, and in defense of my life. And I don't have any interest at all in working with police authorities, and things like this is why. I'm here trying to do something for reliable agents in some reliable state, and somebody's pressing me and trying to bully me into either being a criminal or a dirty cop simply so that I can have the means to defend myself, which I don't really have. But I don't have any intention of bowing down to these corrupt authorities, but I'm willing to help. Because somebody, that's the other word, ayuda. This word in Spanish for help is ayuda. Yuda, as in Judah. It's just like somebody's telling me that they need my help, and I'm more than happy to help. I've been raised to be relatively loyal. I'm only really ever guilty of petty theft. I steal from grocery stores when I'm hungry or when I want beer. I haven't had a drink ever since Vermont. Which means that I've been essentially sober since I've been here and fighting my case here in the Canadian territories since April 30th, 2021. So that's it. I have a lot more to say, but it doesn't seem like I'm connected to a global web internet network. I'm closed-circuited, but at the very least, I have this evidence on my YouTube and I have this evidence on my phone. Whether I can access it again at a later date, I don't think I will. I don't think I'll be able to, but that's life. Oh, and also, I don't like George Bush, and I'm not a fan of anybody that's related with George Bush.